Okay, good morning everybody. It's a cool 57 degrees here this morning. And a little update on the garden. There's the valley. We have had a bunch of fires this year and got a couple of nice storms through last night with rain and kind of washed the air out and cleaned things up. But here's the sun coming up over the mountain here. And a little update on everything. The blueberries are doing fine. They're done producing. Plants are growing. First year, I'm real happy with them. And the strawberries, first year for them too, and I'm happy with them. These are the June bearing and they're done producing, but we keep them growing for next year's crop. And then these over here are the ever bearing, and they're actually putting on flowers, getting ready to produce us another crop here maybe in the fall. And then over here we've got our eggplant, and we got some eggplants growing in there, so we're eating those and also sharing them with neighbors. Now grow down today is potato harvesting day for my potatoes. So that's the lettuce bed there, and it is done, but I've got new starts ready to plant. They have to grow a couple more weeks. A couple more weeks, and then I'll pop them in here for lettuce, for fall lettuce. And the broccoli, it got bitter, so it was done, so we pulled it up. And these are the remaining cabbages on this side. They're huge. And we've harvested these cabbages. These are just the little sub shoots on the side. And the cauliflower, we finished that off and pulled it out. And now this here is the potato box. And we've only harvested one row on it this morning. Here, I pulled those up so you could see them. But that's a nice little bunch of potatoes out of that row. We got 2 more rows, so that'll last us all winter and into next year once I get the other 2 rows pulled. Now notice the vines pouring out of this sweet potato box, just coming out the front, the sides, the back. So the sweet potatoes we're loving the heat, and they are growing. I just hope we get a potato crop out of them this year, but we've got the rest of this month and maybe some of September before it starts getting too cold. So we'll go back here and I will show you the tomatoes. So the tomato plants are doing real good. And you can see them all in there, just loaded with vine ripe red tomatoes, not green tomatoes that turn ripe in the store. But and then right here are our yellow peppers, and they are full of yellow peppers, and they're doing good. And behind that, walk over there, are the red bell peppers, and now they are starting to turn red. Here, where is that sucker? There it is. Look at the size of that pepper, and it's starting to turn red. And so all the bushes are loaded with them. And up here we've got the jalapeno peppers. Here we go. Just full of red tomatoes. And down here are our onions, our sweet onions, and they're called candy. And the tops are starting to fall over, which means they're about ready. So once about 50% of the tops have fallen over, then I'll start pulling these and letting them cure out. And then hopefully I'll get that root cellar built in time to put this stuff in. Now this is our yellow squash. I was busy on the track hoe digging the root cellar, and the squash got way too big. So some of those I'll have to put over on a compost pile. And not worry about the same with the zucchini. I mean, just look at the size of it. It don't take long. They got water and sun, and these things explode. Now this here is the spaghetti squash, and it's finally starting to turn and go into the ripening stage. That one there is just unbelievably huge. If you can see, I can wear a size 12 boot there. Look at the size of that spaghetti squash. And then I've got them all throughout here. So they're doing good. And these are our carrots here. And they are doing real good too. So let me see here. I harvested some the other day. I wanted to show you a big one. Here we go. So broke the tip off. But that's our carrots, and that's our beets right there. And then of course our green beans are dumping on some green beans, and you can see them. There's that a whole row of green beans there if anybody wants any. This here is our green manure crop. And see here, if I can show you how tall it is. It's starting to flower, so I need to till it under. But here I am standing next to it. So it's up to my waist. And I've got to till all this into the ground. This is a green manure crop. The rainstorm knocked a bunch of it down. There, kind of give you an idea how tall it is. There's the boxes, the tomatoes, and this is the green manure crop, which will be tilled in. Helps to build that soil. You got to give back. And then there is our corn. And it's been dumping pollen, and hopefully we're going to get some corn out of this. The ears haven't quite swelled up all the way yet. Some are. I'm gonna have to get in there and check them. This here is where I throw the used vegetables for compost. And now we move around the corn here, which is taller than me. So here's my eye level right here. So you can see how tall the corn is. And then the watermelon patch. And some of these are ready to pick. So we'll take a look at this one here. Yeah, so we're looking at that little stem right there. And it gets, once it gets all the way back to here brown, that melon will be ready. And it's got, there's another, you know, they're all over the place in here. All the way down, melons. And then here's our strawberry plants, and they need to be trimmed up. And also the clover has gone to flowers and seed, so I need to cut all that seed off, and I'll save that seed to use as green manure crops in some of the box beds. So I'll alternate the boxes and put a green manure crop in one every year, in a different box every year. And there's the melons. They're all over the place in here. They blend in with the vines. But they're all in here. So I got a couple of them that are ripe. Like this one here is ripe. It's small, but it's ripe. So there's the little tendril right there. And it has dried up on it. We'll let it go a little bit further. So, and then that's when they're supposed to be ripe. That's what I've been told. That, and you thump it, and you can smell it, and a bunch of things like that. Check the yellow spot. Okay, honeydews have been popping out everywhere. I just hope they all make it to full maturity. But there's the honeydew melons there and here. And I've got this one here, which is about ready. And then down here, we have the cantaloupes growing. And you can see them in here. Now they're easy to tell. Actually, the stem's supposed to slip off of those when they are ripe. And then there's my banana peppers right there. So those other yellow ones they're like a stir fry pepper. But those are my banana peppers. And this is the strawberry nursery, which I'll have to really thin out for next season. So I'm gonna have to give away some of these tomatoes. There's a ton of them. Our peas are about done. I'm gonna let them go ahead and go to full seed and dry, and harvest some of the seeds off of these here. So here we go. And these are the Brussels sprout plants, and they're loaded. I gotta get in here and pick them, but they're loaded with Brussels sprouts. So they're ready to pick. And of course, these are my red bell pepper plants. I did have one that got snapped in the storm, but they are just doing great. So yeah, these here, hard to tell, but they are starting to turn red. They got the dark spot on them. So we're gonna have some red bell peppers. A couple tomatoes blew down from the storm, but just look at these babies. Beautiful, ripe tomatoes, all up and down here. Okay, now we'll go show you my adventure in the root cellar. So there was difficulties with the track hoe getting here. It was supposed to be here like 4 weeks ago, and it came back damaged, and they were going to repair it, and that was supposed to take a week. Then they called me back and said, oh, they can't get the part in for another 2 weeks. Then they got the part in, and then they got it fixed, and so on and so on. So I finally got it and dug our hole, and did find one boulder the size of a Volkswagen, which gave me a hard time. Let me show you the apples again real quick here. But this is the apple orchard, and they are full of apples. And all the way down, we got 4 of them. And the plum trees are doing good too, but more apples all the way down there. So, and blackberries are doing pretty good. I've got a couple here that have gotten slow off to the start, and a couple of them broke from wind. But they're going to the top and going to the bottom wire. So, like this one here is at the bottom wire, and then this branch will go that way, and this branch will go this way on the wire. And the same up here. So it's attached there. And then this branch will go to the wire that way. And this one here will go to the wire that way. And the same with those. And the ones down there, every plant's already made it to the top. And they'll be branching. So hopefully I'll get a good branch before we hit winter time, and then in spring maybe they'll advance a little bit more. So there's the orchard and the mountain behind us here, our Christmas tree. We did go out in the boat on the lake Sunday, and then I actually ran over on my, it took me 9 hours to dig this hole. So I was an hour over. So they were going to charge me for another day. So I called them up, said I'm putting another day on it. And I kept it for 7 hours more, which gave me 16 hours on the machine. And I did some, I knocked down a bunch of the dirt I had out front there and got it spread. But this is where the hole is, right here. And there's the dirt pile of rocks and dirt. Not a lot of dirt. But there's the hole there. And you can see why I've got the red tape up here. It's a long drop. And it goes all the way down and out. My caution tape is buried electric cable, but that's because that's what I had left over when I put our power on the ground. And it was red, and I don't want anybody getting near that edge. I don't want anybody hurt, and I don't want it caving in. I got to get the concrete poured and the walls up before we get too much more real bad rains and have cave-ins. There's the kid's dog, Molly. What you doing, girl? What you doing there, huh? Where's Harper? Hey, where's she down there? Huh? You want to come here in the hole, check it out? Come on. Okay, so this is the entrance to the root cellar here. Like that. And then I'll come on in here. This to give you a little better perspective of how tall this dirt is. And the boulders that are in it. So anyway, Barbara and I got out here yesterday after I ordered concrete block, and I beat these rods in because you can't put a wooden stake in the ground here. Some of these rods I had to move 6 times before I could find a spot to squeeze in. And then we shot the grade on them, and I had to mark it, since they're metal rods, I marked it with a magic marker. And then I started putting these batter boards up, which they give me the level of the floor in here. And actually the floor would be 8 inches down from the top of that. And the reason being I couldn't get it any lower is because of this here, where my foot is. That rock was huge. It was as big as this here, and I couldn't get it out of the ground, so I said, hell, we'll just shorten the building. We'll make it the ceiling's 7 foot high instead of 8. But you can see how high up it goes there. So it goes up, I believe, almost to maybe 8-9 feet. And then I'll have to get another foot or 2 on top of it. But when I was putting the batter boards on, the rainstorm started. So I got these back here on. And then by the time I got up here to these, my magic marker was washing off the rods. So I was lucky, the corner rod, right there in the corner on both sides, still had a mark. So I fastened there first and then took my 4-foot level and leveled these sides out and attached them. So then I'll run my strings on it in here. So I'll have a square of strings. And that will be adjusted so that the building is square. You have to move them around. You have to fudge everything to get the building square and level right in here. Then I'll put in some gravel and spread it around for my base and hope these walls don't cave in. There's a hunk of a boulder there. But yep, there's the rock pile. And actually the big boulder I dug out is buried in there. So it was about the size of a Volkswagen. I had to drag it out and drag it over there out of the way. And then these are just some of them. There is a ton of boulders in there. But people ask me, where do you get your rocks? And I said, just dig a little hole. Dig a little hole out here, you'll find them. Nothing but rocks. So that's about it. So I will be working on the garden. Not going to be able to do any canning this year because I want to play around with this root cellar and see how the temperature is going to fluctuate. But there it is. And once I get moving along on this, I'll get more updates for you. We see you guys later. Bye.